You can force your way past any limit. Fellas, there have been times for all of us where we're trying our hardest, we're sleeping enough, we're eating enough, we're doing all the things that we should be doing right, and we're just not getting the results that we're looking for. You wish you could force your muscles into growing. A lot of y'all don't think that's possible, but I'm here to tell you that it is. Now look, fellas, progressive overload is nothing new, and that's exactly how your muscles grow and you get stronger. You add more weight, more sets, or more reps, or more density to your program, meaning doing the same amount of work in less time. This ain't about telling you something that you already know, like that Simpsons meme. I wish I would have thought of that. That's like telling someone that's poor, just make more money if you don't want to be poor. Well, how do you go about doing that? All right, now the first method you can start using today is start incorporating more 1.5 reps, and that's just what it sounds like. So on hamstring curls, for instance, I come up, do a full rep, I come down, and then I do another half rep, that's 1. That does a lot of unique things. First and foremost, it essentially increases your effective range of motion by 50%. Now, it's just a rule of thumb with hypertrophy training, the more range of motion that's loaded, the better. Look, we all know range of motion is important, and if you can add 50% more to it for basically free, it's just gonna give you that much more muscle growth. It's the same line of thinking that we apply to squats. An ATG squat at 315 pounds for 10 reps is gonna do far more muscle damage, give you far more hypertrophy than a parallel squat for the same weight for the same number of reps. You also get the opportunity to add pre-exhaustion to your training. So here's how you do it. First of all, pre-exhaustion is important for fellas that just have difficulty feeling their muscles when they do things, even if they train hard, train to failure, all those fancy things that you know you should be doing already with most of your accessory movements. You pre-exhaust the muscle with one set of 1.5 reps. So for example, with hamstring curls, you do a set with 1.5 reps, and then your subsequent 2, 3, 4 sets, whatever. You just do regular reps. Pre-exhausting them with the 1.5 reps first will allow you to feel the muscles work so much better on the subsequent sets. I don't have a study to support that. I just have my personal experience, not only for myself, but for folks that I work with as well. Now, this next method is a really cool way of getting utility out of exercises that are terrible. I call this the 1 + 1 = 3 method. You take two things, you put them together, and now they're greater than the sum of their parts. Now, how I use this is kind of similar to pre-fatiguing, but it's more pre-activation, if you want to call it something other than that. So where in pre-fatiguing, you're specifically fatiguing the muscles with an exercise that's good so that you can make another exercise better, you're taking a crap exercise that doesn't stimulate the muscles really at all, but allows you to get a nice burn on them. So with me and the folks that I work with, for example, on the triceps, I take the tricep kickback, terrible meme tier exercise, or like a chair dip, another terrible meme tier exercise. You do one set to failure, that burns your muscle. It's a little bit more than a warm-up, but it's not quite fatiguing you. Suddenly after that, everything that you do, French press, skull crusher, JM press, it's a lot more stimulative to the triceps. My boy Cooper, for example, he benches on the incline 315 for 8, I think is his best set. He hadn't felt his triceps work in a really long time and noticed stagnation before we started working with one another. We started to do this. Now his triceps are growing for the first time in a long time, and he's hitting all kinds of PRs. This is something that you can implement as well to give you the similar effect. What I want from you guys now is to just give me a few exercises that you're interested in using in these methods. I'll let you know if they're a good idea or not. First couple days of this video, I'm going to reply to every comment that I see. I'll see it, I'll tell you if it's a good idea. We're going to move into the first hot take. All right, y'all, you already know, we do quick tips, we go into a hot take to get y'all talking to one another in the comments, and then we go into the Q&A. This time's hot take is, I dare say, the stinkiest, smelliest hot take that I've ever had the pleasure of discussing with you guys. I'm gonna read it, and then you guys let me know how you feel about it. Logging progress in programming is overrated for novices. This is a stinker. What you do not track, you cannot manage. On any level, this is important. Whether you are Johnny One Plate benching the bar and squatting the bar, or some horse-necked stud that squats 700 pounds for reps, you need to track what you're doing and you need to follow a program. When people say that periodization isn't important, which just means organizing your training, that translates in my mind that you care so little about your process that you're not willing to put any thought into it whatsoever. This idea that someone who is just new to the gym can go in and do whatever and progress over a long term consistently just needs to die. That does not practically apply in real life, bro. I don't know if it was the pot of coffee that I drank, but that hot take got me fired up, so I'm really ready for this Q&A. This first question is just a follow up on the cluster sets that we talked about in our last Q&A. Check that video out if you're not familiar. They're basically asking, how do I progress on cluster sets? How can I combine it with other things? Now, I have 5 different things that you can try just depending upon where you're at. One is going to troubleshoot cluster sets for those that tried it and didn't get what they wanted out of it. And 4 is just how to progress on it in general. Now, with cluster sets, you need to make sure that you're using a relevant weight, or else it's just going to be junk volume. So on super squats, for example, you know, the 20 rep squat program, you don't just pick something you can easily do 20 reps for and say, oh yeah, bro, I'm getting the full benefit of super squats. You know, I'm doing my squats in milk. My legs are going to get huge. You use baby weight, you're going to get baby weight results. So you use something that's like a 10, 12 rep max, and then you rest pause it until you get 20 reps. That is absolutely brutal, and the training effect that you get from that is much greater than you would get from using, say, the same percentage but for like 3 sets of 8, even though that would end up being 24 reps versus 20. The training effect is far different from one another. All that to say, you need to use a weight that's heavy enough, or you're just going to be repping out baby weight sets of 5. Here's something that you can try. If you're new to cluster sets, or if you just chronically undershoot the amount of weight that you should be using on something, do a literal 12 rep max set on, say, tricep rope push downs, rest, use that same weight or maybe like 5 pounds less, and then you do your cluster sets of 5 with that. Now, after you ensure that you're using a relevant weight, you can get the benefit from doing it the first time. The way you progress is very simple. It's just the same as how you progress on anything else, bro. So, like I said, there's 4 different ways you can do that. You can add more quality reps, you can do more weight, you can add more sets of like 5 or 4 or whatever, because you're not going to be able to just, you know, if you're using a relevant weight, those cluster sets of 5, they're going to turn into like sets of 4, 3, 2, you know, especially if you're doing an exercise that's adequately loaded, like we just, you know, ensured that you did the first time. Or you can just add pauses to your reps, bro. So like, you know, on your tricep rope push downs, you can hold the squeeze at the bottom for a little bit and hold it at the top, and then you're doing all pause reps for your clusters. Those are all ways that you can progress on them. Really, you're just trying to destroy your muscle, and anything that you can do to creatively do that in the cluster set is going to allow you to progress on them. Now, in terms of how long you want to use cluster sets for, I didn't talk about that in that video, but I really like using it for like 4 weeks at a time, because just like with super squats, you know, they're brutal, they're fun, but also they take a lot of mental acuity, and you really want to use it in bursts to get the best benefit out of it. So use it for up to 4 weeks at a time, use those 5 progression models, and you're going to be good to go. All right, this next question, what is it with you guys and your opinions? This is another opinion you want me to react to. This one's very short. Supersets suck. Dude, like, whoever thinks this, or I forget who said this, but I'm very keen to hear why you think that, because people have been using supersets for hundreds of years. That's an exaggeration, but folks have been getting jacked doing supersets for a very long time. I struggle to think of a scenario where they would suck. Even agonist supersets, right, where you're working the same muscle group back to back with different exercises, those are extremely beneficial for running up extra volume, getting in more work in less time. Your antagonist supersets, meaning opposite, your push and your pull. Folks have been doing that for a very long time. Bro, I struggle to think where supersets are bad. Y'all let me know how you feel about that one. The next question is something that's going to be relatable to a lot of fellas, just because there are a lot of people who reach the intermediate stage and they don't know what to do, but they're just simply asking, what do I do after I reach the intermediate stage? So my biggest piece of advice for that is to just find out what your relative strengths and weaknesses are. Now, my buddy Sam recently helped me discover this site called Symmetric Strength. It'll show you like a cool diagram of what your like relative strength level is for all the lifts that you train, as well as what your strong muscle groups are, and how you personally compare to folks that have a similar score than you in terms of like what lifts are better or worse than theirs proportionately. This is going to allow you to infer what you need to work on or what you could potentially work on that you're not already working on already. Now, on top of that, you know, outside of using something like symmetric strength, which I want you guys to use as well, so I'll leave the link down below. You go ahead and tell me what your score is and, you know, what your best muscle groups are. You want to look at what you're not doing in your training already. So for a lot of people, there is a muscle group that you are just not working. For me, it's been calves for the longest time. But now that I have been working my calves, they're getting bigger. You know, just like with any other muscle group, you train it, you work hard at it, you eat, you sleep, you'll get bigger. Biceps is the same thing. I feel like my biceps have been getting bigger every freaking training session. Look at something in your training that you're not doing or that you could be doing more of, and just do more of that thing. That's going to allow you to keep making progress and allow you to keep getting more jacked, allow you to get to that advanced and elite and whatever other classification you want to use. But it will allow you to make more informed training decisions in the future. All right, this is our last opinion piece before we go into our last couple questions. Guys, these Q&As are always a pleasure to put together and use to interact with y'all. But we gotta X out one last stinker. Like the other ones, these are more foundational misunderstandings than, in my opinion, you know, valid opinions that one could have relating to success in your training. This fella said that sleep is overrated for getting more jacked and stacked. This is like looking at a chair and saying, this chair could still function with 3 out of 4 of its legs. The chair would not function without all 4 legs. That's like looking at a refrigerator and saying, the coolant in it is overrated. Bro, take away 3 hours from your sleep schedule, you're going to get smaller, weaker. Your testosterone is going to go down. You're going to get hungrier. You're going to get all these deleterious effects, as Derek from More Plates, More Dates likes to say. You're going to get nothing good from sleeping less. Likewise, if you sleep more, you add an extra hour of sleep to your sleep regimen. That is going to be more anabolic than, you know, spending all your money on supplements, watching a bunch of YouTube and implementing none of what you watch. It's going to be more anabolic than anything that you can do other than injecting testosterone. You got to sleep, bro. Now, that's to say, if you're someone that finds that they can't get a full 8 hours of sleep and you're hearing this thinking I'm ragging on you because you're not able to get your 8 hours of sleep, I'm not. Sleep as much as you can. And if you can add more, I'm just saying that is only going to benefit you more. And if you take away, say, 2-3 hours of sleep, you're only going to get worse results from that. Period. No debate. All right, this is our second to last question, guys. This has been a lot of fun, like I said. This is also going to be very popular with folks that watch my channel regularly, just because most of us, if not all of us, are all interested in getting more pull-ups, a bigger weighted pull-up, or a bigger weighted dip. This question is going to be specifically, how do I break a weighted pull-up or weighted dip plateau? And then also, how to progress to a chest-to-bar Franco Columbu style pull-up. Both of these things are very simple, but they're infinitely relatable to all of us. Now, in terms of, you know, getting past your first plateau, or maybe, you know, your most recent plateau on your weighted pull-up or weighted dip journey, you can start, first of all, by using the first 3 things that we talked about in this video. I'm confident that if you implement that onto some accessory work, that you're going to get new muscle, which will then translate to more strength. And that's just going to solve it on its own. But exercise-wise, we can break it down for weighted pull-ups and weighted dips. 2 motions that I feel add a lot of benefit to both of these exercises is 1, a lat pull down, chest to bar, pause, and full range of motion for weighted pull-ups. Guys, that's going to allow you to work your upper back, your lats in ways that are more targeted than you're probably doing on a pull-up. On a pull-up, you're probably doing just enough range of motion so that your chin is clearing the bar. A chest to bar lat pull down, you know, with different grips is going to allow you to work that upper back, you know, your lats, your rhomboids, your teres major, those types of muscles through ranges of motion that you're not using already. Also in rep ranges that you're not using already. So you may be training like the 1 rep range, the 3 to 5 rep range, With lat pull downs, you have the flexibility of working in the 20 rep range if you can't do 20 pull-ups, which is most of you can't do 20 pull-ups. Now for dips, just simply start adding more extended range of motion chest exercises. That's gonna look like dumbbell bench is a really effective one that I like, specifically on an incline. You could also use the hammer strength chest press as an accessory. That's literally like a one-to-one transference between the two. As your hammer strength chest press goes up, your dip is gonna go up, so you could use dips in one rep range, the hammer strength chest press in another, and that's gonna allow you to symbiotically build both of those. Now in terms of working up to your first chest to bar pull-up or Franco pull-up, really it's just a matter of getting stronger, bro. So most of y'all, if you can do like a 50 pounds added weighted pull-up, could probably do 1 or 2 chest to bar pull-ups. But just to take into account the level of strength that you need to do these for a lot of reps, I've done up to 12, 13 chest to bar strict pull-ups. My best weighted pull-up is 180 pounds added. So that's 4 plates. 175 pounds for 2. I've done 100 pounds for 10. I really just focused on getting overall stronger, and that later allowed me to unlock those Franco Columbo style pull-ups. So it's really just a matter of patience. If you want to start doing them now, you could start doing, like a set of 3 chest to bar, and then you could do chest to bar assisted. That would allow you to get the tactile sensation of doing them chest to bar a little bit sooner, but really it's just a matter of getting stronger, bro. All right, y'all, we're here at the last question. You already know, BQ gets the last question. And this time, Mr. Minotaur wants to know, essentially, when do you know when it's time to add another exercise to like an isolation that you're doing, or more sets to, or whatever? This is very relatable to me specifically, and to a lot of y'all, I'm sure, as I'm gonna continue to talk about it. But I'm training my biceps. I'm in an arm specialization phase right now in terms of my hypertrophy training. I do cable curls. I love cable curls. I get a great stretch, great contraction on them. But I recently started implementing the pinwheel curls as well. I implemented pinwheel curls once I already went through a few things with the cable curl. So one, I just added more reps. I added more weight. And then I just did that for like 3 to 4 weeks. I added another set. And then once I got to 4 sets of the cable curls, I'm like, man, I can do more. I want to do more. I think adding a 5th set of cable curls is just going to be redundant. Let's add these pinwheel curls, add a little bit more bicep volume, but also work the bicep a little bit differently. And that's kind of the thought process you want to follow with something like that, bro. So like, we'll talk for you, for example. With lateral raises, you feed your shoulders pretty often. I would work up to say 4 sets of the lateral raises, give yourself a rep range to work in, like 8 to 12, maximize that rep range, maximize that set range up to 4 sets, and then you could add something like an upright row for 1 set. Literally just 1 set is going to allow you to spur new growth. Then the next week you add a little bit more reps, then you add another set, then you add more reps to that set, and then you could look at adding weight. And you just do that up until like you're doing 4 sets of each. Once you reach that point, so you've had your isolation, you milk that, you added another one, you milk that too. Now you get the gravy train rolling by looking at variations of those things. So like for cable curls, for instance, I would supplement that with something, or sub it out with something like a pelican curl, or like a concentration curl or something like that. And then I would sub the pinwheel curl out with just like a hammer curl, or like a neutral grip bar curl, or something like that. And really at that point, you're just subbing back and forth between a formula that you already know works, that you've already progressed up to. So you progress from going from 4 sets to 8, and then you look at variations so that you can keep doing that same 8 sets of bicep work. Just continue to keep it not stale, keep progressing on them. And that's gonna get you a lot more jacked than, say, just doing 7 sets of the same exercise, or even 5 sets of the same exercise. It can be pretty redundant, bro, to be honest with you. That's how I implement that for biceps and shoulders, but you can really apply that to any accessory that you're doing for a smaller muscle group. Calves, same thing. Forearms, same thing. Neck, same thing. This has been a really fun Q&A, y'all. I dare say the most fun yet. If you have any questions about the questions that we covered here, tap in the comments down below. I'll be sure to get to you. If you have any questions for next time, not next week, because you know we do the weekly Q&As like every other week. It's like an inside joke between us. Leave that not only on this video, but if you're watching this in the future, like 3 days from now and I upload another video, just leave it on my most recent community post, most recent video, and I'll be sure to consider you for next time. Y'all have a good one.